episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you guys are on your conquest. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday morning. And it's great to be alive. It's great to be a warrior in this world that continues to change and change in God's purposes. God will make the changes that He feels necessary. We have to follow His goals, His purpose. So hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys for your comments. Thank you guys for all the things that you guys are sending me. A lot of great topics coming up. We're going to talk about one from m.jama. We're talking about retention and marriage. We've talked about this before, but for a lot of new subscribers, we're going to kind of go back to some of these topics. But let's go ahead and do some shout outs first. Let's see what I got here. I got Hamza. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to get something from you. Kamil, 263 days. Congratulations. Keep it up. Wet dreams is a prosthetic fluid. I don't really count wet dreams when it comes to, and I haven't had any, since I was in my 20s, but I don't really count it. So it's really more of a case that I think it's really more of a lifestyle, Kamil. I think we're talking about a lifestyle. If you're purposely doing it, then we know that's not what we want to do. If you're purposely, if it just accidentally does this, when you're sleeping or something, you can't, that's really difficult to control. But you're on the right path if that happens, because it's not happening in normal volition. It's happening in a situation where either your subconscious mind or the evil one's kind of taking you over for a few minutes, and all of a sudden now you're releasing and you're half asleep or you're asleep. So it's not, I don't count that the same. That's my opinion. So, but you have to use your own type of standards as well. All right, Yisrael, thank you, my friend. My voice, thank you. Divine Codes, thank you. 106 days, keep it up, my friend. TKO, always a pleasure. Villem, Kenshiro, thank you. Blulu, Fataulu, thank you. Looks like Michael Fox's father from Teen Wolf. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. 90 days. Congratulations. Keep it up. Guido Perez, thank you. Mickflairr, nice shirt. Well, I hope you like this one too, Mick. Thank you, my friend. Moxspeed 300. Like the war cry, wake up. We got to wake up, my friends. You're exactly right, Moxspeed. Gotta wake up. Action Pack Kooly, keep working on the addictions. Yes, keep trying to get rid of those day by day. And Rick Harris as well. So thank you, guys. All right, so 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's kind of talk about this a little bit. So when we talk about any kind of situation in life, we realize that we want to become the best warrior, the best masculine, high-value male that we can. Now, we hear a lot of things in society about whether or not something like marriage is good or bad. We know that the laws right now are against a lot of males, especially in divorce. And so this is not helping the situation at all. We know a lot of people, a lot of families get divorced, and so that's not helping about 50% of people. And so young people, it's very difficult starting out. I have 3 young warriors as children. And one of them has been married for 5 years. The other one's going to get married next year. And the third one is young, 22, just turned 22. So we'll see if he ends up getting married at some point as well. Marriage is not for all. And the Bible even talks about that. And, talking about the fact that if you're lusting and have a tremendous sexual energy, you should probably think about getting married, because basically you have one person instead of having all these people. But it comes down to some basic natures, my friend. It comes down to the fact that what is the purpose of marriage? And that's what you got to think about when you do this, and especially under retention. What is the purpose? Obviously, it seems like marriage and SR contradicts each other, right? Obviously, how can you go ahead and procreate and have children if you're retaining? Yes, I know. That doesn't make too much sense in that sense. But in the overall picture, when you look at what God is trying to do, He kind of wants people to be united. Women and men should be together. They should be united. And what ends up happening is that in our world, we've had to actually put documents together, marriage documents, to actually have that happen. Now, there are lots of people over the years that have been together and never been married. But that's a different type of situation under different society types rules. And so when we look at marriage, the whole thought pattern is, what is the purpose of you getting married? If you're having a family and kids, obviously you're going to be with that person, right? And so the whole idea is that you're going to try to procreate. And so SR may not be something you want to do right away. On the other hand, if you have your children, if you're going to the point where you don't really need a want to procreate anymore, and you're with your partner, you can still have a lot of intimacy without actually releasing. And in fact, if you look at there's lots of videos out there, and lots of people do it, and I myself have done it as well. You don't necessarily have to, release even though you're being intimate. Now, it does take a heck of a lot of self-control, and I wouldn't recommend that to people who are just kind of starting out when it comes to retention, because obviously the temptation to release is going to be unbelievable, and it's going to be very hard to not to release. But once again, you're looking at the whole idea of the purpose of what you're doing. If you're with one person, and this is the person that you really want to have children with, and you want to have some sort of family with, and this is your goal, then that person, then you have to make the decision, well, should I release that person? And obviously, if you want to have children, that's what you're going to do. So retaining it, you're not going to be retaining half as much of your energy if that's the case. However, it's not for a long period of time. Obviously, you're talking about just takes you how long to be able to kind of, once you're I would call wife. I mean, I don't believe in having girlfriends and being, having children, but that's old-fashioned, warrior talking here. But the idea is that you're really trying to have children with one person, or you're trying to at least have some sort of relationship with the person where you're not really going to kind of just break up and go separate ways. The marriage license idea obviously came about because people didn't want people leaving, and there was some kind of level of commitment you're making to the person. Now, once again, we know people cheat all the time. We've known that for thousands of years. That happens. The question really becomes, again, as you look at marriage, what is your overall goal? Does it fit your goal and what you're trying to achieve? And if you're achieving a goal with marriage, and that's what you should be doing. And you could still retain. And obviously, as you're having children and time is going on, you're going to have lots of periods of time in which you can retain. Now, you're not going to be 1,000 days, or because you're probably going to have intimacy with your wife. But again, you could have intimacy with your wife without actually releasing. And that's something I would really kind of look into, because I've done that before myself. So the thing is that you don't necessarily have to be someone who is going to, not have any contact with your wife at all. I would say it's the opposite. Actually, I think the intimacy is actually better, because you're not concentrating on that end result. You're focusing on trying to concentrate on your wife. And again, guys, you've got other goals and plans and ideas. So your purpose is a lot more than just marriage. Marriage is wonderful. Marriage is great. Kids are wonderful. But those are just part of your goals. Your overall purpose has to be a lot bigger than that. What are you trying to do for God, your creator? What are you trying to do in the scope of your life? And marriage is one aspect of that, but you shouldn't be ruled by your marriage. Yes, you need to provide and protect, be a masculine male that we talk about, but you also need to have other goals and ideas out that you're trying to achieve. You're the leader of the family. This is what the Bible talks about all the time. You're the head of the household. You're the head of the house. And women who understand this, marriages go wonderful. But again, we're living in a time, as we talk about with the Western women in this world, living in a time that women look at men differently, partly because of men's problems. And once you correct those problems and you go back to being the masculine male, the leader, the dominant male, the tiger, the controlled tiger you are, well, then women are gonna submit to you, because they're gonna submit from that end of it. You're submitting in your end of it to basically say, I'm going to provide, protect, and I'm going to lead the family. This is your sacrifice. You can call it submission. You can talk about anything you want. But women, wives and husbands submit to each other all the time. The question becomes, are you happy with that level of dominant and submission? If you're not, well, then you need to kind of go back and rethink of that. But intercourse itself is not a huge aspect. And I've been married 30 years as a warrior, that's not a huge aspect. As time goes on, it's more of the intimacy, which can be something like even holding hands, or something like just hugging. That's a whole different type of level you're moving to. And once again, guys, the idea of just intercourse itself, if you're not doing it for procreation, you got to think to yourself, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? Why am I trying to hook up with somebody? And what's the overall purpose? In many cases, people like to do it to build their egos. And so that's one of the things why we talk about this and retaining, is that you don't want to get to the point where you have to build ego by intercoursing, hooking up with women. You basically want to find that one woman. You want to have that relationship. You want to have her fit into the goals and things you're trying to achieve. And from that point on, then you're able to move ahead with this person, and you're not really sitting here and wasting time with 10 other women who knows what's going to happen with those women down the line. So this is why we talk about that marriage must be in the overall goals of things that you're achieving. So that's why we talk about marriage and as being something you can still retain. And in fact, there's lots of people retaining in marriage situations. But the idea is that you're not going to always retain every day, every year, every situation. It's going to depend on the situation. If you're young in your marriage, you're going to obviously have a lot of intercourse. You're going to try to have children. And so you're going to release. But here, again, guys, the idea is that you should be able to, and I say this, but I say this with, a lot of skepticism, because you know that it's not always easy. But you should be able to have intercourse without releasing. Now, we're told the opposite. We're told that men are not enjoying things unless they release. But I would say to you, and I would challenge our warriors out there, and you guys know this, that by not releasing, you're still having a lot of enjoyment. The intimacy you're having with that person is your enjoyment. But if you're only doing this release, heck, you don't need even a person there. This is why people do it on their own, because they don't need the person. But that's not the whole point of, in my mind, at least, and I'm old-fashioned, warriors. It's not my mind to actually do this. That's not my mind to do what you're doing there. You're not doing that for that reason. And that's why marriage is a whole different type of situation. But remember, you're marrying because you want a person that's going to go along with working with you and achieving your goals. You don't want to just marry somebody because they look good. I mean, this is the idea that we've seen in a society where people look good, they're supposed to be great all through, and a lot of times they don't have the other types of things you need for a marriage, and so you get caught in a situation, and then the marriage kind of falls apart, and that's why you have so many divorces. All right, my friends, well, enough of this talk today. m.jama, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it as always. You guys are always giving great comments, and I think I'm going to look for another one in a second here, but we'll kind of do one probably tomorrow morning. So until then, my friends, two things we'll talk about and always say before I leave. First, every day is a new day to a great warrior, so enjoy your day. And the second thing too is it is time to battle